logging in with your username password at the start on this front page here. We'll be logging in as Jonathan first. He's our kind of engineering chap. We'll take a look at his kind of profile, and we'll explain the different kinds of user profiles that we have coded into the tool by default. But it's worth just pointing out that if you do have Office 365, and I feel as though most people probably do these days, you can have that set up as well. So you can have your two-factor authentication, and that kind of extra layer of security can come through from that. So I think that's probably enough preamble, and let's just take a look at Jonathan, and we'll talk around some of the things that are important to the profile that he is. So if we log in, the first thing we're going to see is Jonathan's kind of summary of his risks. So these are the risks that he's been assigned as the risk owner, which is a fairly standard concept in project risk management. But what you might have noticed is that the first column on the left is project, and these ones are here are Finland, those ones are data centers in London, Seattle, New York. So actually this engineer is actually overseeing something across multiple projects. So this summary view is giving him a quick appraisal of where he's at across all of his various projects. So he's probably quite a senior engineer perhaps, or is integral to doing things in multiple places. And you can see that we're not just talking about the sort of the threat side of risk management. We also have the ability to capture opportunities, and we've got some basic information. When can the risk start hurting us from? Trigger dates. When will the risk no longer be able to hurt us? End dates. When are we next due for a review on a particular risk? Because not all risks are created equal. Sometimes you're going to review a risk every single week because things are fast moving and changing, and you are going to want to keep on top of that kind of situation. But then other risks are, oh, park that, I'll come revisit it in 6 months. So you might want to set yourself review dates into the system, and then that will help with the reminding and the triggering of when to give those updates, give those reappraisals. It's got some basic status information, pre-mitigated and post-mitigated scores. These ones here are not linked to, well, they are linked, I suppose, but they're not being generated necessarily from the Monte Carlo aspect that I mentioned just a moment ago, because actually Safran Risk Manager is also a qualitative tool. So we're talking about risk matrices, kind of the classic probability impact diagram, that kind of thing. So typical risk management process on projects is that you have risk identification, often a brainstorming session, or it could be a list of risks that you've already got like in your back pocket as an organization that you always check off this tick list. So the system Safran Risk Manager does cater for that. It also has a thing called a global risk register, but in any case you have to start off the life of the risk as being an unapproved risk. Someone has to have been delegated the authority to become the risk owner to assess that risk, and only after they've gone through the steps of assessing the validity of said risk in the context of the scope of that project. So, and you know, we talk a little bit about the roles. Now this guy here is some kind of engineer, but he's not necessarily the project manager. And the project manager or the risk manager, one of those two guys, will be assigned to each project. So be different individuals on the Finland project that are project managing the London or the Seattle project that we saw on the previous screen. So this guy's going to be interacting with different people to get approval for the risk. So there is a workflow for approval, which is worth stating. So just because someone says, look, I'm the risk owner and I approve this risk, they have to submit it for approval. So it's kind of done in conjunction with. So someone does all the editing of the risk, and then they say, well, look, actually this is a generic statement that's been written for the, say, the risk name or the risk description, the assessment values, probabilities, the impacts. So they get a chance to edit those things and refine them to fit the context of the project. And then once they've been refined, they then get elevated for approval by the project manager or the risk manager. So we do tend to set it up as a project manager role that has a deputy, which is the risk manager. So if one person's away on holiday, there's always someone hopefully that can actually run that approval on the project at any given time. Otherwise, you need an administrator, I suppose, to come in and do it for you. But yeah, so that's the simple, super basic pre-C or summary view of the status of the risks. And of course, like any Excel thing, you just click and you can click on the status, and then it groups them all so we can see all our unapproved together, our approved together, or trigger dates, end dates, next review dates, and it'll obviously just shift those as appropriate. So that's helpful, because what we're trying to do is minimize the amount of time and effort that Jonathan here is spending in dipping into the system, having to do stuff, and we want him to be in the system for as few minutes as possible, ideally. Because Jonathan's best work is done, outside on the project and not necessarily administering a risk system. So we recognize, certainly Mark Turner and myself both, we had very different backgrounds, but we had very similar experiences. So he came from more governance, compliance, audit, that kind of side of risk management, and I came more from project focused risk management only in infrastructure, and he was more defense orientated. But we both had very similar experiences, so we use similar proprietary systems that many of the people watching this video will have probably used themselves at some point.